Good afternoon. It's Friday, May 16th, 2025, and it's the Wall Street Weekly Wrap Up with your host, John Newquist. And it was a week of gains. The Bulls definitely trounced the Bears, and we'll talk about it. Let's look at our next gen portfolio, up 2.6%. Remember, we were down 15%. We got a little more defensive. We're in there. Went up today, 0.5%. 4 weeks, 4 days out of 5 were winning days. It started out with the Saudi Deek, or the deal, the Deek of the century. They're going to invest $600 billion. They had Jensen Huang, Cisco's president, Lisa Su from Man's Micro Devices. What a lineup of tech at the conference. And they agreed to sell the not the Grace Hopper, but the Blackwell chips to the Saudis. And then they went to the UAE, and they're going to buy Boeings, a lot of Boeings. Good deal, good deal. And they want to be into the Intel Center. You know, Jensen always talks about he wants to have data centers and Intel centers at all the countries because everybody needs it. And I always just want to paraphrase. I'm here for one reason and one reason alone. I'm here to analyze what our portfolio did this week, what trends might suggest the coming weeks and months, and that informs us our long-term goals. That's it, nothing more. So if you ever saw a stock movie, you would remember that one. The portfolio, ding, 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 ding. We're up above the S&P 500, 2.6. I would add up 0.5%, but I forgot. How are we doing? Well, we're above the S&P 500. We were above beginning of the year, then we crashed all the way down like this into rock with the months and stuff. But it's good. Why? Because, like I said, we're pro-growth. We have the best companies in the best areas. We moved a little bit away from some of the slower growth companies to foreign industrial indexes, and we'll talk about them. The Dow's doing well. Of course, the Dow is hurt by UnitedHealthcare. Holy smoly. That stock took the hit of hits this week. I mean, it was like boom, 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 boom. But we bought today, and we'll talk about it. NASDAQ lagging everybody. Why? Because, the NASDAQ has been further deeping. So, considering we're a growth portfolio and we're beating the NASDAQ and S&P, that's an accomplishment so far. If it was the end of the year, I'd be ringing the bell, but it's got another 7 more months to go. It's only May. You don't know what's going to happen. We're going to be more defensive, spread a little bit away from the European, not the European, the U.S. risk and stuff like that. Of course, the Russell, the small caps, holy smokes. What a horrible area. But we showed a SPY. I mean, this is an ugly V. This is not a nice chart, and it's going to be as bad as it gets. I mean, this one you would figure it might go up and double bounce. Now I'm thinking about not even double bounce and stuff. I'm getting flickering lights. I don't know what that is. 2-year, still below 4%. A lot of people are thinking these numbers are going to go up with the bond market as inflation starts to creep up. It's got to creep up. It's still hanging below 3%. It's good. Not at the 2% target of the Fed, but I'll take 2.4% inflation. I'll take 4.2% unemployment. I can live with those numbers for a long time. Crude oil, a little bit above 60. I don't know if my Russian analyst is right, but he's talking they're going to flood the market to break the Soviets down to $30 a barrel and cause catastrophe in Russia and force a possibly end of the war because you're not going to have so much money to spend on anything. I don't know. We'll see. We're at 60. You're going to tell me it's going to go below 50. That's going to be tough. I don't know. I mean, we've seen it down to 40, but that's a lot of stuff if the economy's picking up, which I think it might be. Natural gas still hovering in the threes, solid area. EQT distribution, I think we had EQT, and now it's at a record this week. Gold's kind of not liking the rally, so it's gone down from 3,400 to 3,100. Silver's dropped to 32, and copper's still strong. Remember, 450 is our goal. 450 means we're doing good. I just popped up the corn chart because, like anything else, it was going up. It was up to $500 or $5 a bushel, and now it's coming back down to 4. 4 is the normal area. If you kind of look at last year, kind of peaked in May. This weird kind of hit our May peak, and then it went all the way down to 3. Is it going to go down to 3 again? I don't know. We haven't had rain out here for 10 days, so we got a fire warning. If you can believe that, a fire warning. I feel like I'm in California. Oops. I don't know why it jumps to. Oh, come here. Southwest Gas revenues fell. This is on our bubble here. It's in a ugly channel. I mean, it's been going sideways since last July. Unlike EQT, which is, got gas envy. It's earnings are good. The revenues are slower. Market didn't really like the revenues. I'm trying not to buy oil. We got ExxonMobil for our oil and our gas companies. I picked this one because it was going good. And it's just been sideways. It's on the bubble. We don't have to have a gas company. And if it breaks out to the negative, it gets down to 64, we're out of the stock. So not much. We got $4 more. We're out. And, of course, if it breaks above 76, it's good. Folgers, no. Franklin Templeton Germany Fund. It's up. We're in the Germany fund. SAP or SAP. I call it SAP because that's what it says. Siemens are the big holders in the company, and Germans are putting money in the market. They've been stagnant for 25 years, and now they're putting money. They're taking on debt, and they're buying a lot of stuff from their own companies, defense companies. Siemens is going to be the beneficiary. You debate whether buying this or Siemens, but you get a good dividend. It's good. It's a growing market. If I have to pick anybody in Germany, if I can pick anybody in the European Union, I'm going to pick Germany because they are doing things. They're going to make a difference. So I see the market going up quite a bit. And of course,
this is a reminder. Get the meat.
Get the meat. And through the magic of the pause button, I am back trying to make Korean bibimbap, which I'm actually really good at. And just got to have the right meat. And NVIDIA, like I said, I was shocked. I fell off the chair when I heard they were going to get the Blackwell chip, not the Grace Hopper chips, which they would have been happy to get. They get the best chips. And, whatever China wasn't going to get when they put that block, I can't imagine what it had been like in China to hear this. The Saudis get their chips? That's a Russian accent. Wow. And that 18,000, and UAE's going to get it, and this is a big positive for NVIDIA. So you can see the jump. Remember, we broke out a little bit, but it's going up. And now people think, hey, it could break the record of 150. It could. It could be a heck of a quarter for NVIDIA. It could be a heck of a quarter with all these orders. Remember, they already sold out of the chips this year. They're all out. And the Saudis are in line to get some of the best chips. Oh my God. 2026 is going to be a great year. It's a matter of how much can they make. And, where else is going to get it? Japan, Taiwan. I mean, these are things. I mean, you can't run your data center because you're friends with the Saudis from China. The packets and all this terabyte transmission, you're going to lose stuff. It's not going to be good. You can query the data, but you might have to open a data center or a assistant data center next to the Saudi data center to even tap into some of the things you'd like to do. Oh, this is going to be huge. It's just unbelievable. And of course, Huawei, who's trying to make the chips as fast as they can, not as good, is feeling pressure too. So I think that's a big game changer, and we'll see. Google had a Waymo recall. I don't think so much of it. There's some collisions, no deaths, unlike Tesla, no deaths. I hope they fix the stuff. This is a tough area. As Google gets better chips to do autonomous driving, whether their method or Elon's method works for out there, I always look at, the best is going to be Baidu with their stuff in Wuhan, and that shows how you can do it. Bigger cities able to do it, much like, which we haven't had. So it's going to open up everywhere, and that's a big deal. So You know, again, the breakout's continuing. It's in there. 200-day moving average. We've got both of the 50 and the 20 still below it, so still ways to go on the Bravo Google. I mean, yeah, I know ChatGPT is number 5 in total sites visited, but Google's still number 1 search, still number 1 site visited. You know, it's not the only thing they got. Holy smokes, got YouTube. You know, JPMorgan said, you know, this continued volatility take recession off the table, or wouldn't take the recession off the table. Creates the risk of inflation. Again, everybody's watching inflation. Everybody's watching the bond market, because one of the things they can't control is the bond market. If the inflation gets high, the bonds are going to go up. You know, I mean, interest rates will just cost more to borrow a house, and no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to just wish it down and have it go down. You're going to have to make changes to get it down, and that's painful changes for a lot of people. We don't got the budget. You know, as he said, the grandstanders cannot sit there and hold progress on the beautiful bill. You're right. They're going to cave, because it's not just one person. It's a lot of people going to be beating up on those people holding the bill up. But J.P. Morgan, again, look at this. You know, wow. I mean, everybody went through this ugly whoop, whoop. You know, this is the classic Elliott wave. Boom, boom, boom. And then it was supposed to be down here, but that's not what happens. You know, as Elliott wave has been proven wrong over and over for the last 25 years that I've known about it. I'm not a fan of it. The FLMX are the Franklin Templeton Mexico Fund. Nice dividend, 2.33. Who do they have? Grupo Financiero, a bank, I love it. American Mobile. Just a lot of good stuff with, you know, having the big telecom vendor and banks and stuff, and then everything else. A nice chart. I think, like I said, Mexico is growing, Germany's growing, and China's growing. And I think it's going to be 3 areas. Again, diversifying some of the American portfolios into the foreign side. Take out a little bit risk, but not the growth. The growth is still there. And then, of course, our UnitedHealth. I mean, this is the week of punishment. First, we drop, you know, when they have earnings. I mean, just horrible. You know, guidance is canceled. And then they get the investigation for Medicare fraud. And then they bring a CEO this week who's been there before, 2006, who tripled the stock price. Oh, I got to put on pause. Well, you know, this is never dull a moment, you know. Get a call, want to hire you for July. So I will. So UnitedHealthcare, the directors today, 1243 purchased $1.6 million. This is a company that's had nothing but crappy news for really since earnings. And I think, you know, when the RSI got down to 12, we got the directors buying in, I'm getting in. I mean, this thing is off 50% this year. I mean, 50%. This is the largest healthcare company in the country. $15 billion of free cash flow. There's not a lot of things wrong with it. And if there's Medicare fraud, you fix it, you pay a penalty, and you don't do it again. I mean, there's a class action lawsuit. I mean, that's all part of the thing. I just think it went down too far, too fast. We're going to nibble in it. Now, anytime we buy a turnaround like Olapex or UnitedHealthcare, half the initial thing. If you've got X amount for amount of money for a fully invested position, this is always going to be max or half X. We're not going to get crazy on these turnarounds. So, you know, again, I was watching it. It's like, okay, when would you buy? Well, I'd have to have some good news. I got to get something good, you know. And I wasn't expecting this, but it was a good one. That's why we're in it. And then, of course, Walmart, you know, big retailer in our portfolio. Comps are up pretty good, you know. Revenues 2.5. I mean, there's, you know, remember when they were up on comps, probably Dollar Tree took a bit, Target took a bit out, you know. I really don't know who they're eating as far as their competition, but it's going to be Target, I would guess. Just my hunch. Not going to be Costco, you know. But revenue's good, PE's high. Walmart's pricey. It's not like a cheap stock at 21 PE. So, but it's solid, and it's almost in the breakout territory. So, again, not too far from the high. You know, so a lot of people are like, holy smokes, this recovery here on Liberation Day, you know, when the market just dropped, has been quite a thing. Novo Nordisk, I think Ozempic is a great product. It's not supposedly as good as Lilly, but it's got a lot of people singing its praise. It's good. I want to say it's both between Wegovy and Lilly's products and stuff. There's a lot of good products. Now the trouble is, we were out of this. Remember, we were going to cut down on healthcare, so we got out of Novo Nordisk because it's kind of redundant to Lilly. But it's been a negative channel since then. And the issue is, if you wanted to buy it, because you know this product is not bad, maybe wait till it breaks out of the channel, because that might be your sign to buy. I don't know how long it's going to be in the channel, but it's been since August. August. That's a long downtrend, a long, painful downtrend if you were in it at 140. You know, you're over half your losses in less than a year on a product that's selling like hotcakes. That's what pain is. You got a good company, good product, and you're down 50%. Whew, that's a spicy meatball. Siemens, you know, again, I was looking at Germany, and
This is a reminder. Ask about beating the S and P 500.
well, Alexa, stop. Yeah, I mean, it's good, because that's the goal every year. Not the NASDAQ. It's just a kind of an odd year that we're beating both the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. We beat it the last 2 years also. But, you know, it's kind of a really kind of a scary year, because there's been so much self-inflicted pain on this, you know, stock markets with this uncertainty, as I call it. Siemens, pretty good, you know. Income increased, orders increased. That's what I said. Germany's seeing a lot. Siemens nationwide does instrumentation all across the big companies across the world. You know, Saudis are going to start upping their, bringing in ExxonMobil, one of our companies, to go work on, you know, these big refineries in Saudi Arabia. Guess who's going to get the instrumentation? Siemens, probably. Probably. Not always, but in a lot of U.S. companies. So I was thinking, well, we're going to go into that, but no, we bought the Germany fund instead, because it's number 2 holding in the Germany fund. And again, you know, Cisco, they were out in Saudi Arabia. I was really surprised, and revenues are up. You know, I'm going back to John Chamber days when, you know, Cisco bought everything. It was just crazy. Every 3 months there was another merger and acquisition, and I don't know how you keep track of everything, and to have them still survive and not wither away is just, you know, kind of takes a lot of management skill. But they're doing well. Orders are up 20% year to year, so they got Splunk, which I liked. I like Splunk a lot, you know, because I was seeing it in the restaurants. Now it's toast. We'll see. But, you know, this is an odd chart. I hate charts like this. It looks like an open funnel, and I don't know. Here's the number we got to watch. We got to watch this one. Can it break it? You know, and then we'll set a top. We'll break through the top. Apple. I don't want iPhones built in India. India for India, not for the USA. Trump beat up Tim Cook 3 days out of 5 this week. Woo, and you know, Tim knows better to fight back. You know, he's kind of like the wounded animal, so he's going to slash out, because he wants the iPhone built in the United States, and I don't think people pay $3,000 for the iPhone. I mean, if you think about it, if you make $500 an iPhone in India, from India, you take 400, you subsidize the U.S. thing, and you get it kind of down. It might be, instead of maybe $1,500, an iPhone might be $1,700, $1,800, but you could subsidize it out through the profits of the rest of the world. Just, you know, you're either going to buy the iPhone or not. It's just trying not to gouge everybody in the United States. So it's past the downtrend, so that's good. But there's a lot of political pressure, and you know how that goes. You know, he's already putting $500 billion in the kind of states. They buy back stock right and left. I mean, I just, you know, not good to be on the other side of the barrel and having the president beat you up. So a lot of people are like, ugh, this is not getting better. You know, buy it, not sell it. You know, I heard some of the big portfolio people, and I'm like, well, I've been out of it for a while. You know, when they don't grow, you know, that's not it, and we'll see. You know, time in the market. I keep on going, Warren. I had to track these quotes down because everybody wants credit for it. Time in the market is more important than timing the market. That is true. Warren Buffett. I can't recall having a market timer on the forum's annual list of richest people. You know, of course, Buffett is one of the richest, and he's not a market timer. He's in for the long haul. Fidelity did the chart from 86 to 2000. Now, if you had $10,000 back then, and we're looking a long time, that's worth 177 if you would have just kind of bought the index, you know. And you missed the 10 best days because you went cash because you got scared. You're half, less than half. And, you know, and you think about it, you know.
This is a reminder, is to be in defensive good right now.
Well,
This is a reminder, is to be in defensive good right now.
you know, Ken Griffin said, I wish I was in cash. Yeah, until we hit, you know, S&P rally 6 straight days. It doesn't, you got to be in the market. You got to be in that long. I mean, you know, you want to time it. I watch these people on CNBC, oh, bought this, sold this, bought this, sold this. Nobody ever wants to put their record up. Nobody wants to show their portfolio performance, but I can guarantee you it isn't good. It isn't beating us. It's not even close to what we're doing. You know, I mean, they talk because they sell ratings, but, you know, you want the performance. It's right here. You know, you can't get to 33% back-to-back years, beating all the industries. Now we're ahead again. You know, you were out 60 best days in every year. You got 13,000. That's the difference of trying to trade and not time it right. So, again, I just believe that you got to be invested. You got to buy the good stocks, and these are what things go. Of course, Bitcoin. Alexa, what is Bitcoin? Alexa, what is Bitcoin price?
One Bitcoin is worth 103,600 US dollars.
Got up to 100 and
over the last 24 hours.
got about 106 and come down a little bit. I mean, people are like, oh my God, you know, 109, 110 is the best. And look at this chart of Bitcoin, uptrend right at the end. That's what we've seen. Solana, a little uptrend. But what we don't see is the same height. This is the Solana 280 and it's at 160. If you were Bitcoin, you should have been around 260, 250. It's got a lot of move. These altcoins, other than maybe Ethereum and really just Bitcoin, everybody's is either Bitcoin or bust. You might make some money. The market trails. These are the trailing Bitcoin, as I call them, lagging indicators. You might want to go into it. You know, there's plenty of them out there. Just pick some you like. You know, I was listening to the news, and again, you just got to make it easier to trade, make it easier to deal with, and that's going to be the winning Bitcoin. But, you know, like I said, we don't know which one's going to be in there, or the winning cryptocurrency, I'm sorry, not the winning Bitcoin. The homes and the retail and real estate REITs and everything else, I just call it the building, not the XLB, which is the material stock, but the XL real estate stock, you know, and generally slow decline, a lot of pinks as you can see year to quarter to quarter. You know, I mean, everybody's on Airbnb, but I'll tell you what, I get some horror stories from the people I know that own Airbnbs and rent them out. It's not fun anymore. And, you know, the hotels like Hilton and Marriott, not too far back from profit increases, you know, revenue increases. So you know, maybe it's good, but I mean, I think it's getting tougher in the Airbnb side. I know they got the market share for it, but these hotels are not bad, you know, and they run really well, and they fairly consistent. And, you know, like I said, if you're the owner of the Airbnb and people are asking you to check out 6 hours early, 6 hours late, I mean, it just drives you crazy. And then cleanup fees, they complain, and it's a mess. You could do well, but you better know real estate, and that's a lot of stress. I just think it is a lot of stress. And, you know, other ones, you know, you look at D.I. Horton, holy smokes, but Lennar's up. Go figure. I mean, you know, Vertex, pretty good quarter actually, but you know, we got too much tech or related to data centers we want to see. And another. Boy, everything's happening today. It's like I do this, there's never a call interruption. UDR, you know, market cap's $4 billion, just like our real estate charts, you know, kind of looks the same, kind of big downcline. Nothing, you know, different, but dividend's good. 4% dividend. Don't knock those dividends. And the heat map. Of course, the big bullseye is United Health. Oh my God, 50% down this year. This is just a week. But boy, look at the heat, man. Microsoft up, NVIDIA up 16%. Google up 8%, Meta up 8%.
This is a reminder. Water the lawn.
Okay, Alexa, stop. 10 straight days and no
This is
rain.
a reminder. Water the lawn.
10 straight days. We're in a fire thing. I mean, we're in a fire. We're not California, but I've been out there every other day watering, and oh yeah, it's going to rain. Never rains. I call that the illusion of rain from the weather people. And even when you see the clouds, they just don't come. So, not too good for a lot of areas. Again, if you even look at energy, overall good. I mean, everything pretty well green except for healthcare related issues, CVS and Johnson and Johnson and stuff. But a good week. Let's celebrate it. Next week's a full week. Should be nothing unusual. Getting close to NVIDIA earnings, so that'll go up or down. I gotta believe I'm really optimistic for 2026. We didn't really have a lot of color, but now we got the two big deals, possibly UAE and Saudi Arabia. That's going to be a great 2026. We need to get the big app. I mean, this movie making stuff I showed a couple weeks ago, that's nice, but it's not what we really need data centers for. I mean, it's more of a toy. This is not what we want to use data centers for. We want to be able to crunch through some big data and look at trends. If you're at Walmart, you can see it. Seattle is selling out of shampoo. We got to order 25 bottles, send it up there tomorrow, and that's it. I mean, Amazon's dropping the ball. One of the things I buy, like a food shopper for Cuisinart, and it's like 3 weeks to get it. Like, what is going on? Used to be 1 day service. Now things are dropping around, and I'm not sure what the problem is. Stuff you normally would get tomorrow, because you're a Prime member, you're not getting tomorrow. You're not even getting it the next day. So something's dropped in Amazon. I'm not sure what it is, and again, the revenues drops, and maybe they're trying to cut costs too much, and that's something else being affected with, like customer service. So I will see you again next week. Let's hope it's a good week. Stay tuned, and I will talk to you later. Bye.